Hello and welcome. I am your host of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Author Karen E. Osborne. I have 5 novels out. The latest is Justice for Emerson. I am so glad that you're here. This is a space for readers and writers to come together and talk about books. I'm new to fantasy, but I'm getting so hooked. I am excited to introduce you today to Morgan Sterling. Hey, Morgan.
Hey everybody. Hi Karen.
So, so this great description is on her website, and I'm just going to read it to you. Delve into enchanting realms. You can see the enchanting realms behind us with Morgan Sterling, a master storyteller whose pen knows no bounds, writing across genres, including sci-fi, fantasy, contemporary romance, paranormal romance, and urban romance. Morgan crafts tales that defy convention and celebrate the beauty of imperfection.
That's right.
I
That's
love
me.
that. I love that. So Morgan and I met at a book fair, and I was just so taken by her take. We chit-chatted because, after a while, people wander out, and all
Hmm.
we have to talk to is each other
Each
because the
other,
readers are not
which
are
is
not
great.
always there the whole time. We had a lovely connect, and I was just so delighted to invite her to be on the show. So, Morgan, tell us a little bit about your writing journey. How did you get started, and where are you?
Okay. So I would actually say that my writing journey started when I was young, which I think a lot of writers would say. But I didn't realize that that was what I was doing. I carried around, show my age, leave me alone, one of those black and white notebooks, the composition notebooks. I used to carry it around and I would write poetry in it. I would write story ideas in it. And it was a literal notebook that got beaten and tattered. And I didn't realize that that's what writers did. Part of that was because at that point, I was also an avid reader. I went through my entire, I guess, like juvenile reading section. And like literally, the librarians knew me, and I was like, I'm not reading Nancy Drew again. I'm not. And finally, they said, you can go to the adult section. I got special permission to go through the classic novels, which, were clean, nothing too much in them. And I read through those in alphabetical order. And that kind of stuff just started driving the imagination. And then, I started looking next door to the sci-fi and fantasy books, and the Dragon Riders of Pern, again, showing my age, was out there. So I'm like, can I read these two? And they let me. And that just started, then you start seeing stories kind of everywhere. Um, I
Wow.
didn't know that that's what that was. I think I kind of wish I did because it might have driven me. But at that point, I'm a first generation, and my family had an idea of what they wanted me to do. And I became very disciplined in like the sciences, the arts, mathematics because of them. And I dropped my creative side. I read,
Mm,
but I never
mm.
thought about doing anything creative because I had a path laid out for me. Um, and then now that I've gotten older, I've had children, I've had some medical scares, and unfortunately, I watched one of the most important people in my lives, my mother, die. But as she did, she would sit and tell me all the things she wished she did. She wished she ran a restaurant. That was her
Mm.
thing. And she made amazing food. She would have been an amazing restaurateur. People would have been lined up. And after I saw her pass, I realized that I was at a point in my life where I could continue doing eh, or I could do what I really wanted to do. So that when I got to that point in my life, my kids saw an example of someone who pursued their passion to
Yeah.
inspire them to do the same thing. So
That's a
that's kind of it.
beautiful story. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful story. Because clearly your mother, gave you so many, many wonderful lessons. But the last lesson, don't be on your deathbed wishing you had done whatever. That's a
Mhm.
really beautiful story. The other thing
Wait,
that cracks me up is you say you're showing your age. You're talking to a 77-year-old woman, girl.
you look
So,
good.
and so many things that you said until you got to the fantasy part
Yes,
was me.
it was you.
Going to the library, 7 books a week, read through my whole section, all of that. And my father used to buy me classics for
Hmm.
Christmas. And that's how I learned about other kinds of writing that were not meant for little girls, but it was still
Yeah, I gotcha.
wonderful. And yeah,
Still,
yeah.
still beautiful.
So now you have got, and you have to show us the cover of your
Okay.
latest collection because this is so exciting.
I am so excited. Let's turn this so you guys can see.
The Archive Crown, the complete Iron Protocol trilogy. Yes, yes, yeah, I know. Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
so tell us the premise, the setting, the time. Give us a sense of these three
Mhm.
novels.
So, of course, yes, it's three novels in one. And it is the story of a character called Karen. It is a man, and it is not spelled the way you think.
You said
No, I know Karen, but he's not spelled like that. Huh? But Karen lives in the obviously far future. He lives in a world, they're out in space, humanity, and far away from us. They are not Earthlings, okay? And he lives at a time where people absolutely hate his last name, okay? His last name is Velos, and you'll see it all throughout the thing. People are cursing Velos, cursing his name because of something that was done by his family, supposedly generations before he was born. Um, so when you meet him in the story, he just wants to hide, be quiet, and no one talk to him. Ignore my last name. I just want to live my life 9 to 5. Because I'm a very sarcastic, snarky writer, and things tend to lean towards a little bit of reality. And you'll get that same vibe maybe if you have a job that you hate. You'll understand him at the beginning. And he just wants to hide until one day a warship that's sentient kidnaps him and tells him, Commander Velos, you have a job to do. And he absolutely hates it. He doesn't want to do it. And he's hiding from the name and the responsibility that comes with that name. Eventually, his kidnapped warship lines him up against some of the most powerful families in the entire galaxy and universe at that point. And he has to follow along to find out if the reasons that people hate his family, if they're real or not. And
Mm,
I'm not going to give spoilers, but you can kind of assume that maybe, because of the type of writer I am, maybe some of the things that they said are true. And it leaves him with kind of a moral quandary of what he's going to do with this information because information is power. Um, the story leans a lot into the idea that our memories are what allows us to be controlled, sometimes as a society. So Karen has access to memories that others don't. Some of those memories may not be what he expected, but it also leans into the idea of do we need to remember everything as a society? Who gets to decide what we remember? Who gets to decide what we forget? And what happens when we don't care about the memories and history of the past?
wow, that's so relevant to our world. That
Yeah,
is so, yeah, I love that. Who gets to decide what we remember
exactly.
and what we don't? And what
And
do we do with those memories?
exactly. He
And
has
how do
big
we
choices.
interpret them? And oh my goodness. So, Karen, what do you like about him? What do you find? What's great about his character from your point of view?
I love Karen's progression. He's one of the
Mm,
characters that I would say that I have written a good progression from him for the first time where I intimately kind of felt him, like he was hiding from the world at the beginning of this book, which I feel like I was doing quite a while ago. And I mean, he is sarcastic. So it really is like a voice that, I'm writing his dialogue and I'm like, this is what I would say, But his sarcasm and everything does lead him to be I would say a mature person as he grows along. Because sometimes when you face in life, things, and when you're young, you may have assumptions about people in your life. They're good, they're bad, it's black, it's white. And then as you get older, you realize life isn't like that. And even sometimes some of our heroes and villains aren't like that. How do we react? So having Karen have to react to the idea that what he's thought all along isn't right necessarily, that connected with me. And he does it in a very sarcastic way. And I think he matures very well from hiding and just wanting to not be a part of the insanity to the end of the arc with him, where you go, he's taking up responsibility for himself. Okay. If no one else, for himself, and whatever anybody else wants to do with that, let him do it. Now, unfortunately, that's kind of the way I am now. I'm like, this is me. Accept me as I am. That's it.
So there's a lot of you in him.
Oh yeah, he's a little snarky. He's a little snarky.
Also, always makes for great reading and
Hmm.
snappy dialogue. So
Yes.
that's kind of cool. And, and is there a secondary character that you like a lot?
Yes, Vay Sheridan is another one of the main characters. The reason I really like her is because she has a strong moral compass. Um, but with that moral compass comes the idea that once you know better, you do better. And I think that's with maturity. Sometimes we see people and their decisions about what they believe and how they want to live their life may not be what we think, but it
Mhm.
comes off of their knowledge and what they know. Perhaps their mind will change or our mind will change. And Vay was one of those who was willing to see the reality and become an ally, even though it went against what she was taught necessarily. Because she also comes to the middle and realizes, just like Cam realizes everything he was taught may not be true, everything she wasn't may not be true, and she was willing to let go of that narrative that had been instilled in her by her family and her history, to make up her own mind about what was right and what was wrong.
Yeah. Wow. This sounds so intriguing. I know you're intriguing our audience, and they all want to read your whole trilogy. Was there author who inspired, as you
Oh yeah.
started writing, uh, was there an author that really had a big impact on how you write or what you write?
110,000% Octavia Butler.
Uh,
Um, she is a sci-fi writer. Yes, yes, yes. And for her to be an African American woman, filling up that space at the time when no one was there, giving voice and character, um, to us minorities, where we love that stuff, but we're not always necessarily in it. So to see not just a female, but an African American female take up a space and do it so amazingly, because you don't have to be female, African American, you don't have to be minority, anything. Anyone who loves to read can pick up one of her books and they are going to be blown away. And those books also touched and talked on social issues. So all of my stuff sprinkled in some sort of social issue somewhere. But to read herself, like if you read Parable of the Sower today, she's amazing. Um, and then also just, she worked a normal job. One of her jobs she did was she inspected potato chips. She did. And she said it was because it was basically such a mindless job that it allowed her to make money so that she could use her brain power for her books. And I
yes.
also had to make some decisions like that too. Remember, I said my parents kind of steered me towards something else. I could be doing something else, but I choose to do it the equivalent for me of looking at potato chips so that I can use my mind and my passion to do what I want to do.
Do what you
It worked
really
for
want to
her, and I
do.
hope it works for me.
Yeah, that's great, great. And is there a book that you've read recently that you could recommend to our audience?
Mm, probably, I'm trying to think. I don't want to do one that's traditional. Probably The Widowmaker, which was a recent one that another I started that another indie author um like we met. I met them at the same kind of
Mhm.
thing. And I kind of like that one too. Um I can't remember his first name. So I
It's all
may send
right.
it to you later, but it
Yeah.
that one's really good because it's kind of scary, which is unusual for me because I don't actually really read scary things. So
So
he got me hooked on horror.
that's, that sounds very good. So our audience is now totally in love with you. So how can they find you? How can they, what's your web address? Where are you on social media? How can they find you?
So they can find me. My website is authormorgansterling.com. So author themorgansterling.com. That's my home, if you would, and it'll link you to my social medias. There, like Facebook and things are also the same, author Morgan Sterling. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Not showing my age. I'm not too much on TikTok, but every now and then. Get every now and then. Um, X, which was formerly Twitter. All of those I am active on, so they can find me and they just look up author Morgan Sterling to find me at those.
There you are. So I hope you all will do that. You will follow Morgan. You'll go to her website. You will order her books. You can go to your local store, and if it's not on the shelves, your local independent bookstore, if they're not on the shelf, you just ask for them and they will get them. You can go to your local library, ask for them. They will purchase them and put them on the shelves. You can go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever you buy books.
All
Go
of
and
those.
buy Morgan's book and then read it, read the whole trilogy, and write reviews. Please, if you love it, write reviews
No
because
idea how
we
beautiful that
live
is.
by those reviews. It feeds us, but it also helps with algorithms and other things. So we
Hmm.
do ask you to write reviews. And then please let Morgan know when you get in touch with her on our website or on any of her social media that you met her on what are you reading? What are you writing? Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye.